I think it's always been there. Fun fact, when I was younger and um, just sort of starting out in life, I wanted to heal the world, right? I wanted to save the day for everyone. And I know you probably can't picture it now, but I used to be a hippie and I lived in Maui, Hawaii, and I had a little bookstore called Maui Enlightened. And in that store, we celebrated all of the religions and pushed a sign of harmony. I was a Reiki master. um, I've always had that need in me to serve, but the I did not really have a grasp on how unhealthy it can be to try and save everyone, right? So instead, I've been able to take that same desire that I have, that same need that I have to help and serve, and just move it into something that's productive for both me and the person that I'm helping, right? So it's definitely always been in there. I was born this way. It was nothing that I, had to regulate for myself or try to do. It was just, it's how God made me.
Hello and welcome to the Orlando podcast. Today joining me is Candice Griffin. Candice, thanks for being here.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, Candice, I want to start off by asking the same question we ask everybody. Why is it that you do what you do?
Oh, that's so easy. So I love saving the day. And it's so rewarding to help clients overcome challenges whenever it comes to acquiring properties for investment, right? So there's an awful lot of properties that banks won't fund. And it can be very confusing for investors whenever they get out there and then their bank turns them down. But there's a variety of reasons why they do that. They like for things to be, stabilized and incredibly safe. So my job is to fill that need with investors that don't mind a little more risk in their portfolio.
Okay.
So, what I do, I love saving the day.
Love saving the day. I love that. Everybody loves a hero, right?
Right. I just need a cape. That's all. No. Cape gets you caught in the little engine on the plane, right? So we're gonna leave that out.
Is it that like one of the rules from The Incredibles? Yeah.
Yes.
No capes. Remember
Also
what happened?
apparent.
Yeah, got it.
I can quote any Pixar movie, right? But I cannot quote grown-up movies.
That's what happens when you have kids.
That's right.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned saving the day. You talked about properties that lenders may not fund. So tell me a little bit about exactly what it is you do. Obviously, it sounds like you do funding of some sort for real estate projects. Tell me a little bit about that specifically, and then we're probably going to dive into how you got into that business.
Sure. So I work with a variety of lenders, right? It's everything from, I have private money, I have soft money, I have hard money, I have multiple funds that I work with, and some really interesting banks that do some exotic things. So really at the end of the day, if somebody has a deal that can't get funded, you bring it to me and I'm able to go, you know what, this deal works well in this bucket. Instead of walking into an institution or going to a lender that is just specialized in one thing, right? And they try to fit the square peg in the round hole. Mm-hmm. I get the deal. I look at it and I say, you know what, this one's best over here. So I'm a broker, but it almost feels like I'm a consultant as well. I also provide resources for my clients whenever they have a hurdle that they're facing, whether they need a contact for a good architect or a good contact for, maybe even within the government to get something working with code and et cetera. So I just get to solve problems and it's extremely rewarding for me. So
yeah, you get to save the day. You sound
Yeah,
like somebody that every real estate investor probably needs to know on some level, even
absolutely.
if it's just to get access to
I
your
agree.
network.
And I love people. So, I mean, anybody should feel, uh, should never hesitate to reach out to me. As you know, I'm very approachable and I love everyone. So I'm happy to help in any way that I can. I do not typically work with new investors. Um, I'm just not set up for it.
Sure.
I'm really the person that you want to contact whenever maybe real estate investing is your full-time thing, or you've done at least 10 transactions in 3 years. Sometimes I'll consider lower, amounts of transactions through a conversation, but I found that a lot of the newer investors really need a lot of guidance, and I just don't have the time. I would love to, but I don't have the time. Now I do have friends and contacts that I will put those people with that I know will take good care of them. Um, so, I mean, you included, actually.
Well, thank you.
So, yes, you've earned it.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about how did you get started with this kind of lending? I mean, it's very different from just, getting a mortgage license, mortgage loan officer license and going to work for somebody like Quicken Loans or your local
It
bank.
is very different.
How did you get
Um,
started doing something like this?
so, I started out with a company called New View, and they do self directed IRAs and solo 401ks. They're just a very interesting tool that people use for investing in a variety of things, including real estate, okay? Commercial real estate, which could be a house that you're renting out, or it could be a bank that you're investing in, or a church, or a plaza, or anything. So while I was there, I kind of went on tour um, teaching people about self direction, taught CPE classes, CLE classes, and CE classes. Had a great time with it. However, it was a lot of travel,
Mm-hmm.
and my son's grades started to, suffer a bit. So I had to wave my white flag and surrender and family first. I love my kids above all. So, well, God, kids, you know how it goes, right? But it's so funny. It was such a painful decision for me to make, but it ended up being so rewarding in the end. As I left, I had to figure out my life and what I wanted to do when I grew up, right? So I started out in syndication. Did not like that. That was not for me. Um, my hat's off to people that get into that world. Um, then I started raising capital for late stage startups, and that was so exciting. Okay, I love being around entrepreneurs, CEOs, people that are all in. I mean, the drive and the enthusiasm and the passion and the grit that these people have is contagious, and it
Mm-hmm.
did rub off, right? I like surrounding myself with people that I want to rub off on me, right? My top five, I pay very close attention to. And being around that group of entrepreneurs was extremely rewarding, right? But I did find that I don't necessarily have the guts for that either, because a lot of startups face a lot of challenges and people can lose money investing in them. And I take it too personally. So along the way, I was always sort of still connecting investors with money, right? And and I just sort of considered it my side hustle. And really, it just evolved. I started to see how much I really enjoy saving the day and being really effective in people's lives as they overcome these challenges. And I thought, you know what? Why not me? Right? Why not now? Why not take that giant leap and build my own legacy? Right? So that's what I did. And it started off small. I had just a handful of investors. It was really like hard money, right?
Mm-hmm.
No doc lending. Um, and then I, brought on a fund, and then I brought on another fund, and then I brought on another fund, and then I brought on a couple of banks, and then another fund. So and they all specialize in sort of different things. It's made it much easier to serve my clients' needs instead of, just making an introduction and having to part ways. I'm able to keep and maintain that relationship because of the variety of products that I have available to help them.
That's so interesting. I heard a couple of things in there that I thought were really, really cool. One of the reasons you didn't really one of the reasons you got away from the startup business was because you had a vested personal interest in the success of the people that you were raising the capital from, and you saw that not all startups were successful, and so you had this conscious about, is it good for me to bring this money to this venture that may not succeed, which I think is kind of interesting. And you took that to this next level of working with real estate investors, and helping them be successful and really owning it for yourself. And I think that's fascinating. Do you have any sense for kind of where that personal vested interest in those other people's success has come from? Is it something that was always there, or is it something that it grew over time?
I think it's always been there. Fun fact, when I was younger and just sort of starting out in life, I wanted to heal the world, right? I wanted to save the day for everyone. And I know you probably can't picture it now, but I used to be a hippie, and I lived in Maui, Hawaii, and I had a little bookstore called Maui Enlightened. And in that store, we celebrated all of the religions and pushed a sign of harmony. I was a Reiki master. I've always had that need in me to serve, but I did not really have a grasp on how unhealthy it can be to try and save everyone, right? So instead, I've been able to take that same desire that I have, that same need that I have to help and serve, and just move it into something that's productive for both me and the person that I'm helping, right? So it's definitely always been in there. I was born this way. It was nothing that I, had to regulate for myself or try to do. It was just, it's how God made me.
Well, I think I have your next tagline. If you write a book or something like that, hippie to hard money lender. So you're welcome. But
Thank you.
I just thought it was too good not to share.
Wow.
So
I love it.
how long have you been helping investors solve their financing issues with real estate?
Well, it all started about 2.5 years ago. Yeah, about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe longer. 2.5 years ago. For real, right? Yeah. That's when I stopped sort of playing around with it and really started to give myself permission to make a business out of it.
How long was it a side hustle?
Couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
I've interviewed several different business owners on the podcast. Some of them jump into their business right away. Many of them started as a side hustle. I mean, even for myself, it was a side hustle to begin with. What were some of the key moments for you that helped you realize, okay, this could be something more, or this is something I want to be more?
The key moment was being around all of those entrepreneurs that were making it happen and seeing that just they really taught me on purpose and by accident that I have what it takes. They were the ones that really pushed me to do it. I don't know why I had such a block there. I think it's that imposter syndrome, they call it, right? So I really just had to give myself permission to to do it. And it has been extremely rewarding. I would say there was also a mixture of, I was on a manifestation bullet train. I mean, the energy and the fierce amount of confidence and drive that I was able to muster in that time was just, I mean, I really just had no choice but to go for it. And I'm so glad I did. Now, there have been a lot of challenges along the way. Okay. I had to, I would say 2022 for me was a year of business maturity. I learned to get papered up on everything. There is a reason why they say, in God we trust, but for everyone else, we'll need that in writing. So that was definitely my biggest takeaway from 2022. And this year, it's funny, I just feel so well armed to do whatever I need to do for my clients. And that's the best feeling in the world. And to know that I'm not going to lose in the process, you know?
Yeah.
There was a lot of that before, right? There was a lot of me clumsily doing what I do and hoping for the best and hoping everybody's honest and everybody does what they say they're going to do. And that is an incredibly immature place to come from in business. And back then I was telling myself the story, well, I don't want to deal with people that I can't trust. And you can't approach business like that and expect it to be something that's going to scale and become more, right? You have to protect yourself. And it's just like my mom always said when I was a kid, there's locks on doors to keep good people from doing bad things. And that's what I think contracts are, right? So it just keeps everybody doing what they're supposed to do.
Hey, before we go any further, if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe so you can help us get the word out about these amazing people and businesses here in the Orlando area. Don't miss out on upcoming episodes and help out the show. Now let's get back to it.
Got it. Key takeaway from 2022 was document and contract, even with the people that you have a lot of trust in.
That's right. It just makes everyone more comfortable, because what you find out in that process is sometimes you'll both have the impression that you know what the other one expects, right? And when you start getting into a contract, you're like, wait, this doesn't make sense. This isn't what I thought we discussed. But really, from their perspective, it was, right? So it gives you that opportunity to really have a game plan for how you're going to move forward throughout your business relationship. And it's really powerful, and it doesn't have to be complicated. That's another thing that I learned.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I firmly believe in the power of communicated expectations, right?
Yes.
If you clearly communicate to me what your expectations are, I'm going to know whether or not I'll be able to meet them or not. Vice versa, if you communicate your expectations of me, then I'll be able to tell you whether or not I'll be able to meet those. I think so oftentimes, even with people that we know and trust, we just assume that they know what we think. I mean, marriage is a big one. If you communicate in your marriage what your expectations of the other person is, then they're more likely to meet them. If you don't communicate your expectations, I can almost guarantee you will be disappointed.
That's right.
So really, really interesting. I'd like to know a little bit more about some of the challenges of going from a side hustle to a main hustle. You talked about the importance of documenting and creating those contracts. What were some of the other things that were kind of those main hurdles when you went from side hustle to full-time gig that other people could learn from?
Yes. There's so much. I really could. That's the book, right?
That's the book is Give me three.
From Hippie to Hard Money Hunter. Okay, three things. And we already said get papered up, right?
Yep.
Do not underestimate your need to have multiple resources to get the job done, right? Different the I'll use my business as an example. I know it's more of a general thing that you're looking for
Sure.
there, but for example, lenders, right? So the source, what I call the source that I will provide for someone, their requirements change, right? They're sometimes on a dime, right? Because some of them have people they need to answer to. Some of them have people that they sell their paper to, right? And that makes a big difference with how flexible they can be and how steady they can be in what they're able to do, especially in a market like this, right? I mean, for years that wasn't the case, and now it's extremely volatile. So it was important that I was able to make sure that I had multiple resources for people that do the same things, right? Or similar. And so really, I used to have a problem with almost being overly loyal, right? Too loyal, and not putting my business interest as a priority, right? And at the end of the day, I'm in business to help my clients, first of all, right? And second of all, I'm in business to make money, right? So these are things that you need to be realistic about whenever you're doing business. So a filter that I like to use whenever I am considering what I'm doing in my business is what's the highest and best here, right? What's the highest and best for my clients?
Mm-hmm.
What's the highest and best for me, right? And that's where I have to base the relationships that I have in place. So really being honest with yourself, even when it feels yucky, okay, and knowing that it really is just business, right? So that's one thing I would say. Another is hire an attorney, befriend that attorney. I recommend Hope Richards with RTR title. Am I allowed to do that?
Sure.
She's amazing. I love her. I know there's a lot of great attorneys out there, and I speak highly of many of them, but I just really connect with her because she understands a lot of the business that I do from a very high level. There are many title companies out there that sort of consult with her in the background because she's really an expert in many ways on a lot of these exotic things that are done, you know, like the land trusts and things like that. So that is critical.
So get papered up, have multiple resources, and find a good attorney.
So I think papered up and attorney are the same one.
Okay.
Sorry. But another one would be prepare to go all in. I mean, 12 hours a day, day and night, sometimes 16 hours a day. Just prepare realistically to be all in. And things are going to get bumpy. And it does no good to cry in the car over it. You just dust it off, figure out what you're going to do next, right? So you have to have thick skin. You have to be resourceful, and you have to be your own cheerleader, right? There's no bell to ring when you're working for your own business, okay? There's nobody celebrating your successes. You have to remember to do that for yourself. You can't just sit there and be too hard on yourself all the time. You have to really tune in and congratulate yourself for a job well done and celebrate those milestones you have as a company.
Awesome. So I'm going to change gears a little bit and go back to your top 5, because you mentioned it a couple of times, how important it is to surround yourself with people of excellence. As you've continued to grow, where do you look to go and connect with people that are either in your same vein? Do you have a strategy by which you
Absolutely.
evaluate those people and you look to make new
Absolutely.
connections?
Absolutely. So I'm always evaluating my top 5, and 3 of them really need to be people that I strive to um, be like in one way or another, something I need to learn from them, right? So 3 of them need to be that. Um, I also try not to spend too much time in the same rooms. So oftentimes we can get very comfortable with the organizations we spend time in, right? And it's nice to walk into a room where everyone knows you and it's a warm welcome and you're just, getting all the good feelings, right? But I try to make sure that I'm walking into a different room all the time, right? If everyone knows me, I'm in the wrong room. Sure, I need to dip my toe in there every once in a while, but um, I know when I'm too comfortable, it's time to jump and get to another room, right? So that's that loyalty piece again, that community piece. We get so attached to that feeling, but sometimes it's not helping our business to be that way, right? So, um, for example, this year I'm going to be focused on builders, GOBA and um, I can't remember the acronyms right now. But
Greater Orlando Builders Association, I believe, is what GOBA stands for.
that's one of them.
I
But
don't know the
there's
other one. So
yeah, and larger commercial type deals. I'm trying to really branch out into more of those. I enjoy those a lot as well.
yeah,
So
I
just
forget who I heard it. I think I heard it on another podcast. I think it was the Bigger Pockets podcast. They talked about the importance of going to meetups as a new real estate
mhm,
investor and going to meetups. And but they also
yes,
talked about the importance of once you've been at a place for a little while or you've gotten some experience, stop and look around the room and find who people are standing around and talking to,
mhm,
and go
mhm,
join that circle. And if
smart.
you're the person that everyone's standing around, you need to go find another room if you
Yes,
want to continue to
exactly,
grow.
exactly.
So,
And I'm telling you, people that know me probably wouldn't guess this, but I really have to work up the courage to walk into those rooms sometimes where I don't know anybody, because I'm used to being so comfortable, and I love my friends, and I have even just not been able to muster it, right, and turned around and left. I've done that, but and you have to give yourself permission to do that sometimes. But the most rewards come whenever I just jump on purpose, intentionally jump. So that is key for
awesome.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I want to change gears just a little bit and talk about some specific situations that you you typically help people in, so that if there's
Mm-hmm.
anybody listening that is investing in real estate and they come across some situations like this, they know that Candice could be a resource. So tell me about some of the common things you deal with where you guys can provide solutions, and then maybe some really kind of niche situations that people would never think of.
Okay. Um, so, wow. Okay. Really, if you can't go to a bank or you don't want to go to a bank, that's it, period. I hate to simplify it that much, but that's really it. There's a number of reasons why a bank won't do a deal. And it's not always because, you are um, unworthy of getting a loan, right? There's a variety of reasons why people, so maybe they haven't done their taxes in a few years, or um, I have people that can't get documents translated in time from another language,
Mm,
right? Um, sometimes, a lot of banks don't like dealing with land, for example. They want something to be shovel ready and stabilized. Um, sometimes you're in a situation where you have an opportunity coming up and you really don't want to miss out on it. And you need to pull the equity out of some of your properties to get some cash. But you don't want to go through the rigorous processes that you have to go through to engage a bank for it, right? Because you only need it for a short time and, whatever. That's a situation that I'm able to help in. So let me give you an example. And single use properties. So churches, right? I get those funded. One client was building a medical office plaza, and he couldn't sell the office condos off fast enough. The land for the phase 2 became available next door. His banker of 20 years turned him down, and the banker was able to say, call Candace. She can build a bridge. That's what I call it. I'm building a bridge so that you can take advantage of this opportunity and not miss out. And then once it's stabilized, come back to our loving arms and low rates, right? So it's a very symbiotic relationship there. Another one that I love doing is lots, right? If somebody is flipping lots, so to speak, so they buy a lot, they build a house, they sell it. I love those all day long. I'm able to do those better than other institutions or private lenders can do. The Airbnb, I have a great source for Airbnb now. That was a big one for me because I fought to get those deals funded. And when you don't have the right lender, you really suffer. So I finally have a great Airbnb lender.
Awesome.
Thanks to a mutual friend of ours. And yeah.
Okay.
So
very cool. All right. Well, I've taken up a decent amount of your time today. So I really want to say thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with me. I think I'm probably going to title this episode "From Hippie to Hard Money Lender," but you're welcome to use it for your book when you release that.
I love it.
Before we go, what is one piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
Read the book, The Practice by Seth Godin.
Okay.
Great book. It was that final push I needed to grant myself the permission I was speaking of.
Okay.
And be realistic. Don't just think because I build it, it will come. Okay. We all love The Secret. We all love this manifestation conversation, right? But you cannot take that to the bank. You can't take an affirmation to the bank. You can't feed your kids with an affirmation and a positive mental attitude. Be realistic. Have reserves. It's okay to dream, and you should, but prepare. That is what I would definitely offer as advice.
Solid advice. Learn
the hard way.
Yeah, I know. Where's the best place for people to find out more information about you, or if they have questions about loans? What's the best way for folks to contact you?
Call me, text me, 321-948-3246. I do have a website. I do have LinkedIn. Do I need to? I could just give that to you.
We'll put all of that information in the show notes. If you haven't already given it to us, then we'll definitely collect it for you. When
just
we
text me.
Yep.
I'm not scary.
Yeah. So call Candice if you need help getting a real estate project funded in some capacity. So cool.
It doesn't matter how big or small. If I can't do it, I probably can point you in the direction of someone who can. So
awesome. Well, this is great.
You.
Well, Candice, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And to all the listeners, I want to say thanks for checking us out. And we'll see you around Central Florida.
All right.
Bye.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you.